Dear brothers and sisters, I always refer as a brothers, sisters, right? Sometimes we forgetting we are actually human brothers, sisters, but sometimes with too much emphasis, ranks or religious faith or different nationality or like that, or rich or poor. So I believe that's a secondary level, different nationality, different races, different religious faith. But fundamentally, we are same human being. On that level, hardly no sort of demarcation, we and they. The entire 7 billion human beings, same. So I think we reach or look from that level, hardly no point to quarrel. And no question about war. War and conflict comes on the too much emphasis on the secondary level, different nationality, different faith, different races. All these, then we divide. On that level, yes, we have a certain reason, say we and they. More emphasis on that, the we and they become much solid. Then, for our interest, bully bully them, deceiving them, all and including violence, and mobilized. So war, mobilized violence is war. All these, you see, come on the basis of we too much of make distinction, we and they. So therefore, I always prefer use the word brothers, sisters. And actually, you see this famous university, college, correct? University or college? What called?
School.
University.
School.
School. You see, as you already mentioned, a student from many different countries, different nationalities. So all, you see, stay here, study here, as a human brothers, sisters, isn't it? Yeah. So we really need deeper awareness. Fundamentally, we are same human being. And in fact, now today's reality, global economy, not important national boundaries or religious differences. And then, equally more important is ecology, global warming. No relevance on that sort of point, different continent or different nationality or different religious faith. So now, I'm indeed very, very happy come here, this school, once more. 59, April 59, till I think May 60, about 1 year I stay here. Then Woodstock, just our neighbor. Then I shift to another place. So even after that, I think once or twice, I visit. Isn't it? layer. So I think students, many new students, perhaps among even teachers or directors also, I think, new, I think, right. But the same school, same spirit. I hope the education standard also, I think still very good, isn't it? That is very, very important. So very purpose of sort of the education institution is the education. So high standard of education, that's very, very important.
Need for compassion.
Slogan. My topic, my talk.
Need for compassion in today's interdependent world. Now, the rest.
되게 싫어하는 아들 맨날 좋아.
Now, the knowledge.
Okay. Firstly, as I mentioned earlier, on human level, then everybody knows the most important is affection, warm-heartedness. Unknown stranger experiencing some difficulties, painful experience. As a human being, there is some kind of tendency to help. Not thinking he or same sort of nation, or same color, or same sort of religious faith, but same human being. And then that kind of affection even is a further sort of extent, and even animal. Yesterday, on the street, the Darun street, when I was passing through, one old person, very thin. And he, when my car was approaching, he remained like this. Then within few seconds, it just fell. Of course, I cannot stop there. Even I stop, I cannot do much. But feel something terrible. I have no other connection. And also there's nothing to gain if I help him or if I develop some kind of sense of concern. Nothing I gain. But as a human being, another human brother, truly helpless. No one taking care. So that's the human affection. That affection not come from religious faith, but from biological factor. Look, animals, dogs, cats, birds, they mainly parent, particularly mother, taking full care about their youngster. So because the youngster's survival need others' care, that's a biological factor. Therefore, in order to develop the energy to help other, to help their children emotionally, we already equipped affection, sense of concern. So since this is something part of nature and biological factor, so I usually say secular ethics. It is ethics. In fact, all ethics is based on religious faith, ultimately based on that. All major religious tradition talks about love, compassion, and forgiveness, tolerance. All these basically on that biological factor, sort of sense of affection. That is something precious for our survival, for our peace of mind, for our happiness. Therefore, all major religions, tradition, you see, emphasize that. And in order to promote, in order to strengthening, you see, that value, then different religious traditions use different philosophical views. Some say there's God, creator, full of love. So that brings conviction. We have to practice, we have to follow compassionate way. Then non-theistic religion like Jainism or Buddhism or ancient Sangha tradition, they say law of causality. If you do good to other, you get benefit. If you do harm other, you get consequences. So, all major religious tradition use different philosophical sort of reasons, but the aim is same. That the sort of compassionate sort of practice, compassionate person, that's the aim. That also because basic human nature really need human affection. So usually I sort of try to promote love and compassion for human affection. That other hand, human affection, and also it's a sense of concern of others' well-being that's not based on religious faith. If we stress these sort of affection, these sort of values must be based on religious faith, then it becomes narrow. Those non-believers, or even within religious sort of believer, what believe? There are a lot of complications. Like I think your own spirit, and also the other day, so I had an opportunity to talk with one international meeting. 그래서 손을 가서 손을 민 가서 delay the MG support doctors.
An international conference.
In any way, some sort of medical, big sort of international conference, about 3,000 doctors, specialists there. There also I mentioned those sort of doctors, specialists. You see, when they treat patient, not on the basis of what first you see, they ask, what is your religion? What is your nationality? Then accordingly, you see, some accept, some do not accept. Not to that. Person, as a human being, who have some sort of difficulties due to illness, they come. The doctors and the doctors and the nurses also, no sort of discrimination. Any human being who need medical help, you see, they accept. So we usually do that practice. Now here in education field also, particularly like this, you see, not the basis on this kind of human being, no. Consider same human being. All human beings have same right to achieve happy life. In order to achieve successful, happy life, you need education. So provide education. Because of the no differences, right? No discrimination. So that I usually used to call secular ethics. And now, further sort of also the reasons. That is scientific finding. Number of scientists and sort of medical scientists and also the brain specialists, many scientists, now they realize the peace of mind is very important factor for good health. So they usually call healthy mind, healthy body. Very close link. A person, the physical the facility for physical comfort, everything there. But here, some sort of trouble, some sort of too much worry, too much sort of anxiety, too much stress. And too much stress and worry often, you see, bring frustration. Frustration brings sometimes anger. And also, you see, too much this anxiety and too much sort of stress related with deep inside self-centered attitude. Ultimately, selfish. I. So, more sort of that kind of attitude, and some distance, others and myself. More distance, then often creates suspicion, distrust, or jealousy. That result, I said, stress, loneliness. Loneliness brings depression. So therefore, the physical health very much related with mental health. Then some scientists, they found constant fear, constant anger, actually eating our immune system. Calm mind, relax, very helpful to sustain our immune system. And then, so therefore, now these things, and then even animal. So some scientists, they sort of experimented the two mice, same sort of injuries. I think that injury, they deliberately create, in order to sort of investigation. So it's the same sort of injury, two mice. One mice put another cage alone. Another mice with another companion. So the mice who have the companion, that companion usually leaking. So that mice emotionally receiving some sort of care. That leaking, I think, do not sort of help to cause of that injuries, but simply provide some kind of emotionally, some kind of care. So eventually they found the mice who, not other companion, another mice who have the companion who often leaking, recovery much faster than this mice, much faster than other mice who remain alone. So again here, clearly sort of mention, clearly sort of prove, nothing to do with religion. So I little bit sort of, I see the emphasis on this. Is sometimes in the past, my friend, when I give talk about secular ethics or ethics, I usually use a talk secular basis. So then, for example, one occasion in Bonn, then still German, two divided German. Bonn is one my talk. That is my talk. The Home Minister at that time, she participated. So then, before our talk, I sort of some casual sort of talk about moral ethics, and I mentioned secular ethics. Then he told me, no, any moral ethics must be based on religious faith. He emphasized that. Then one occasion, the His Holiness Pope, John Paul II, really, that Polish as a Pope, wonderful. Since my first meeting, we developed some kind of very close feeling. So then later, one occasion, because you see, I respect him, I love him, and become close friend. So I had some kind of boldness. I asked him, any ethics must be based on religious faith, or without religious faith, we can develop sort of ethics. He didn't answer. He remained silent. Then his sort of one minister, one cardinal, I think, he told me, any ethics must be based on religious faith. So there are different opinions. Some people feel any ethics must be based on religious faith. Then many number of scientists and myself will also use that in the category, yes, all major religious traditions, as I mentioned earlier, all carry these basic human message or these values. There's no question. But that kind of sort of values, not necessarily based on religious faith. So I belong to that category. So there are two levels of spirituality or moral ethics. One spirituality, moral ethics based on religious faith. Another spirituality, kind of spirituality, training of mind, taking care about mind, not just only material values, but deeper the human values. That also kind of spirituality. And then the ethics simply based on our common experience and common sort of sense and scientific findings. That also, you see, that kind of ethics not based on religious faith. So I believe on this planet, I think out of 7 billion human beings, quite, I think, a major portion, essentially not much serious about religious faith. I often used to telling my Indian friend, here also is many Indians. Now, Indian people, generally, I think, very religious sort of minded. I think, particularly, see, I think quite, if not a majority, I think at least, I think a big portion of Indian people are religious minded. And among businessmen, among the officials, among the sort of various sort of, because of the professions, many of them religious minded. But there are quite serious corruptions. If people who really believe serious about their own belief, there's no room to practice of corruption, injustice. Isn't it? What do you think? If you truly believe truth, honest, as a son of God, as a follower of God, how can cheat other people? How can cheat, bully, exploitation other? So this shows people who claim I'm a religious person, I often go to church or temples, even Buddhist. I often used to go to Buddhist temple, but their daily life, not very serious about honest, truthful. So these people, I consider not genuine religious believer. Just religious sort of faith is lip service. So now we need some sort of method, including these people who don't care about value, about ethics. If we point out clearly, follow ethical life is your own physical health, is your own interest, not only next life or heaven or hell or these things, but within this lifetime, if you lead your life more honest, more truthful, more compassionate, you get maximum benefit. That, I feel, more effective, isn't it? Then sometimes I also see telling, sometimes you see little sort of, half joke, half teasing, those young girls. And now here seems to know. But sometimes you see young ladies, so a lot of us say, kasa makeup sarve, kasa
Cosmetics. Makeup.
Cosmetic, very, very expensive sort of things. So certainly, external beauty important, but most important is inner beauty. Clear? Do you agree? Without inner beauty, just external beauty, you may find some sort of friend, but that sort of the closeness feeling remain perhaps 1 week, or a few weeks, or a few months, then finished. Or I think the marriage on the basis of inner beauty, that, you see, brings respect each other. Not only affection, but respect. On marriage on that basis, the long-lasting sort of marriage. So therefore, those ladies, or even those who say young boys, who are sort of praying to find some good sort of companion, then you see, think more about inner beauty. Clear? So like that. So therefore, the inner warm-heartedness, affectionate heart, is the real inner beauty. Even animals. Do you notice some dogs, cats, more peaceful, more sort of affectionate? They received maximum sort of, because of the bad. Those dogs, cats, often you see a little bit so negative. Ultimately, they themselves suffer, isn't it? Like that. So that's, and then today's reality, as I mentioned earlier, the global warming, serious matter. Ecology problem, very, very serious matter. So this, with sense of humanity, think about 7 billion human beings, not only our generation, but coming generations. Then you develop some kind of sort of concern about the ecology problem. Otherwise, for example, my own case, now already 77-year-old. So next to 20, 30 years, I don't need any sort of, I may not just face a serious sort of global sort of war because of the natural disasters, I don't think. Maybe because of sea level, a little sort of higher, so like Tokyo or New York and some other places within next 20, 30 years, I think some problem. We, in Tibet, of course, no worry. And then, and I think Woodstock also no worry. And my own place in Dharamsala also no worry. So therefore, if I think only myself, then I do not need, you see, taking serious care about the ecology problem. But we think our coming generation. Of course, I'm among no children, But you have children, eventually grandchildren, grandchildren. You, present generation, have to think, have to develop serious concern about their sort of life. So that brought sense of concern about today's world in order to better future of the world. Today, at present, we have to think realistically, seriously, effectively, like that. So all these moral principles, moral values, come. More care about others' well-being, then these automatically come. That's your own sort of interest. And then often I tell people, everybody loves smile, isn't it? I think, do you like smile? Smile, there are different smiles, different kind of smiles. Some smiles are sarcastic smile. Some smile, diplomatic smile, isn't it? Sometimes the diplomatic smiles or sarcastic smiles sometimes bring more suspicion, more uncomfortable. But a genuine human smile really brings, joys and feel safe. We are social animal. Individual sort of life, individual future depend on the rest of the community. Once you feel rest of the community truly your friend, then you feel much happier. If you, whether like it or not, you have to live among the community. If you see community, you remain distant from the community and develop suspicion, distrust. For example, surround people. Look this side, suspect. Look this side, suspicion. This side, suspicion. That brings loneliness. That brings helplessness and depression. Look this side, friend. This side, friend. This side, friend. Trusted friend. Then you feel safe. If one day I need some help, I can seek help from this side, from this side, from this side. Then there is no basis of lonely feeling. Clear? So for our own interest, warm-heartedness is the ultimate source of inner peace, ultimate source of friendship, ultimate source of inner sort of strength. On top of that, if you have some religious belief, and then use different religious sort of philosophical approach, that's good. Further better. Okay. So that's about
need for compassion.
Need for compassion. Like that. Now some questions.
Our first question is from Mila, grade 11.
And also later you say, I also prefer way. Direct question. So you arrange some microphone. I think at least one question from this group, one question from this group, one question from that, so at least four questions. Now first read. Written question.
What is His Holiness's vision for a peaceful future? And what does His Holiness identify as threats towards world peace?
Karsa. That I think I already told. I already answered. So written question, before listen my talk, already you should put questions. So that's the problem. Okay. So ultimate peace through inner peace. Peace not through weapon, not through force. Peace only through inner peace. And then also, you see, peace does not mean no problem. Problem, so long we human being with smart brain there, some problems always remain. Therefore, we need peaceful method to deal these problems. So that's a dialogue. So I often is telling people, expressing, 20th century becomes century of bloodshed. Not solve our problem. Immense sort of violence in 20th century. If you see brought a better world, then we can justify that immense violence. But that not the case. Therefore, use common sense. Only way to solve our problem through talks, through dialogue. Like dialogue within your family. So, entire 7 billion human beings, as human brothers and sisters, some differences, some different interests, different views. It's a talk, through talk. And if something sort of quite serious, then understand human nature, different mental disposition. Therefore, different views, different interests bound to happen. Like that. Through that way, dialogue. That's, I think, the realistic, effective way to bring peaceful century. That's the way. So, you young people, you see, should think, or should try. The idea of dialogue should be part of your life. Whenever you face some sort of conflict, about to conflict where, then through education, you should develop sort of sense of how to solve this problem through dialogue. Not how to solve this by force, not that way. Next question.
Good afternoon. I'm Dhananjay, grade 10. So my question is, everything changes. Nothing remains without a change. Thus, the world today is a completely different place from what it used to be. What moral values does His Holiness think are important in such a technological age where gadgets such as the computer and the internet have become integral parts in the life of a human being?
This technology, modern technology, these things actually dealing with physical comfort, not mental comfort. Here, mental comfort, if you're seeing something nice, you get some sort of satisfaction. Hearing some beautiful sort of music, you feel some satisfaction. That's temporary. These mental level, some kind of satisfaction or some kind of peace is actually entirely depend on sensorial levels of information. That is very short, temporary. So peace or violence usually not happen due to sensorial level experience, but through sensorial the sensorial experiences, then reach mental level, then judge this is good or bad for me, this is good for me or bad for me. And through that way, violence usually comes. Clear? It is very, very essential. Make distinction, sensorial level, or say sensorial level consciousness and mental level consciousness. And similarly, some pains and pleasure, mainly sensorial level and mental level. There's, up to now, this scientists not yet sort of carry serious sort of investigation. So last few years, I suggesting to scientists now carry some sort of test. Person who, without sort of using sensorial sort of feeling, but simply on the basis of past memory or future vision, the mental level, you see, let develop some kind of anxiety, some kind of sort of worry or pleasure. Nothing to do with sensorial sort of, or say, information. And then another sensorial level sort of information, then some pleasure or unhappiness or happiness. I think on brain level, there could be some different sort of movement in different part of the brain. So still not yet sort of developed fully. I think some scientists, now for example, there's some brain specialists, some neuron or these sort of scientists now begin to feel change of brain, the third factor, that we call consciousness or mind. Some cases they already found. Through training of mind, some change of brain. That already now proved through their experiment, like that. So therefore, technology, very good, wonderful, almost like a miracle. But if you believe technology alone bring inner peace, it is wrong. Very clear. Inner peace must develop your own effort and through reasoning, through certain sort of training, like that.
Your Holiness, you said in your opening address that ethnic chauvinism is a great block to reach a great human potential, and it's a waste of our energies and our faculties. So, it's especially in a setting like this, when we look at the world and we see ethnicity. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Especially in a setting like this, when students like us see ethnicity dividing people every day and it becoming an excuse for violence, what is your advice, and how can we hope to go about changing things?
So that I already mentioned. With too much emphasis, secondary level of differences. In ancient time, okay, the Muslim world, just think about Muslim. The Hindu world, just think Hindu. Or Buddhist world, just think Buddhist. Maybe at that time, something different. Now today, world, again now, due to technology, world become much smaller, and also population. Now physical distance is not much, so very close each other. So that's the new reality, new world. So because of that reality, world becoming something, one small world, one and smaller, right? Compare with the previous sort of, let's say in the past, compare past, today, world much smaller, in the sense, very close each other. So that reality, with that reality, we still think century-old concept of we and they, and basis of also divisions, some differences. Then these problems happen. So therefore, now we need some constant special effort. We are same human being. The future of the world depend on humanity, not Muslim, not Hindu, not Buddhist, not non-believer. It is our common interest. So we have to think about humanity rather than my group, their group, like that. So through education, through awareness, and through education, we're becoming more realistic. So thinking about oneness is the realistic approach. Too much emphasis, differences, too much differences is unrealistic thinking. So the reality and our perception, there is gap. Actually, very purpose of education is to reduce gap, appearance and reality. And scientific sort of research also, you see, try to reduce gap between appearance and reality. So now education should focus, reduce the gap, appearance and reality. So appearance, still we feel we and they. We loves that sort of that divisions. Now the actual reality, we should not consider importance of that. Rather, you see, we should develop big we. Entire 7 billion being, part of we, part of me. Okay. So that I believe that way. Another different way. So I think education now, and as far as sort of, let's say, I think racial problem. I think, for example, America. You see, now today, I think you see much change, isn't it? During, say, I think Lincoln, because of abolish slavery. Then Martin Luther King, civil right. My way, civil right, my way. Isn't it? Civil right. Then eventually, now today's president from black community. I think 50, 100 years ago, I think impossible. United States president, one black person, I think quite impossible, isn't it? These are changing. So the United States itself, multi-racial, multi-culture, and also almost multi-religious. So therefore, because of the environment, things are changing. Now here, India, you from India, I notice Muslim in this country, very good relation with other faith. 2 years ago, I was in Jodhpur. In my, when I leaving my hotel, one European approached towards me, that he introduced himself, told me he, one Romanian, he has some sort of interest about religious harmony in this country. So he carried some investigation. He found in Rajasthan, and I think near Jodhpur, one Muslim village. Village means at least, I think, a few thousand population must be, isn't it? In a Muslim village, 3 Hindu families he found. Only 3. No fear. Completely safe. And genuine harmony. And then also you see quite clear, the Parsi people who follow Zoroastrian. Very small number, mainly in Bombay. Nowadays, less than 100,000, but no fear. So this country is actually living example. All major world religious traditions live together harmoniously. Occasionally some problems, like in sometime back in Orissa, some Christian missionary burned by some Hindus, and then Gujarat, I think, some Muslims, you see, burned by Hindus, like that. So pockets, some problems. That's quite understandable. You see, about billion human population, some mischievous people always there. That's understandable. So overall, I think India really marvelous. You also Indian? You? This one who carried camera? Yes. You Indian? Yes. No? So like that, really, Indian, you see, should realize, you see, that your really rich tradition. Respect each other. So therefore, and then also I found some Muslim in Indonesia. There are a large number of Chinese community and the Indian community. So Hindus, Buddhists, they are. So from their childhood, you see, they already know there are different religious traditions. So their mentality, because of the environment, is something different. Then, of course, the Arab isolated, only Muslim community. So you see people, only one religion, that's Muslim, like that. So you see sometimes, and also you see some Christians. Even myself, when we were in Tibet, you see no contact with other religious tradition. So we feel Buddhism is the best, Buddhism is the only religion, that kind of a feeling. All this, you see, due to lack of sort of awareness, the value of other tradition. After we came this country, and a lot of sort of contact with people who have different religious belief, then eventually we develop, philosophical field, big differences. But that also necessary, humanity, different sort of mental disposition. So therefore, we need different way of approach. But all same message of love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, these things. So therefore, once we understand that, then harmony comes. So we need some sort of, education or awareness, different religious traditions, all is the same practice. And we need a variety of religions. That also, I think, within my lifetime, I think my sort of Christian friends, like Pope Vatican, you see, they already use religions as already there. There's no longer attitude, one religion, one truth, no longer there. So these are, you see, the more wider contact with other religious people, then develop sort of the awareness, the different religion, not only existing of different religion, but also it's the same sort of, practice. Something like that. So some Christian, one Australia, one occasion, one Christian minister, you see, he introduced, before my talk, he introduced me. Then while he introduced me, he pointed me, this is good Christian. Everybody knows I'm Buddhist. But you see, he deliberately, described good Christian. That means we have common sort of experience, common sort of practice. So then my turn, when my talk, I refer him good Buddhist. So like that. You see, the aspect of practice is concerned. You see, we have similar sort of practice, isn't it? Like that.
My name is Pang and I'm in grade 8. The more we care for the happiness of others, the greater our own sense of well-being becomes, are the words of His Holiness in an interview he gave. However, in some cases, we ourselves go through difficult times and find it difficult to think of others before ourselves. So in such situations, how can we still care and be compassionate?
Basically, it's a more, altruistic attitude, more sense of concern of others' well-being, then the basis of suspicion, basis of anger, basis of jealousy, these reduce. Clear. Peace of mind, tranquilizer, short moment. Sleeping pill, limited sort of effect, isn't it? Okay. Of course, I never say I'm a good practitioner of Buddhism, but I have some sort of experience through my sort of practice. So I think my life, age 16, now today, 77. Whole 60 years, my life, a lot of sort of problems, a lot of difficulties. But I never touch sleeping pill. I always good sleep, sound sleep. That's why I never touch tranquilizer. And of course, I'm monk. I cannot drink. So that because of training of mind, training, and look more holistic. Even as a troublemaker, usually we get angry, anger, hatred, but from different sort of angle, look more holistic way, you will find some benefit due to their trouble. They create trouble. You get some more inner strength. If your life too easy, then your life may spoil. So challenge there, that's good thing to strengthening yours or what's the inner strength, like that. So judging from that, sometimes you feel, oh, grateful, that troublemaker, like that. So therefore, you see, everything, you see, the mental attitude. Some people, due to certain sort of mental sort of attitude, even small things, they disturb too much. And some people passing through immense difficulties, but they can remain peaceful person. So, same physical body, same human blood, same human body, but because of different sort of mental attitude. Clear? So the ultimate sort of source of inner strength, self-confidence, and create all surround something positive. That is altruism. Altruism here. Then it appears everything looks more positive. Full of anger here, full of suspicion here, everything appears something negative. Okay, like that. And of course, not easy. Not like pill. If some headache and one pill take, then within few minutes something happen. No, the mental training not that way. Firstly, you know the mental sort of system. Usually I describe map of mind. That is modern education system. It is lacking. You have the biology, very detailed sort of explanation about body. But mind is still very limited. You simply use the word compassion or love or forgiveness. But the love and forgiveness, what it causes and conditions. Anger, hatred, its own causes, conditions, and how much interdependent these things. We need more knowledge, the mental work, because of mental map, like that. Then much easier to deal mental problem, like that. And one time, is one American sort of a scientist, Aaron Beck. I think you may heard Aaron Beck, quite famous. When I met him, his age already, no, sit down. His age already 84, very experienced. He told me, according to his sort of study through treating other sort of people, he concluded when we develop anger, the object which we feel angry, you see, that appears sort of 100% negative. But actually, 90% of that negativeness is your own mental projection. He mentioned that. So that is quite similar. Buddhist psychology also mentioned that. So therefore, you see, we really need, and sometimes not only myself, you see, many my sort of friends, some scientists, some social worker, and some educationists feel existing modern education system, the moral ethics, education about moral ethics, particularly secular basis, is still lacking. We need more sort of the research work. So actually, with help of some professors of Delhi universities and also some American scientists and educationists, since last year we already working, try to create some kind of draft about the curriculum in secular education field, how to sort of educate about moral ethics. Firstly, about mind, like that. Next question.
Chuk, and I'm in 9th grade. In Buddhism, Buddhists practice non-violence and care for sentient beings and slowly accustom to respect the non-living beings such as the flora and fauna of the earth. What advice would His Holiness give as to what we as people of the next generation could do to achieve this universal responsibility of the environment as it is our home?
Actually, in Buddhism, of course, the sort of about the altruistic and holistic views, these things very much sort of mentioned and training. But ecology, not much there. For example, when I first came India, and also in Europe, you see some people say, oh, you cannot drink this water, this is polluted. I surprised. In Tibet, when we take long journey, any water you can drink, enjoy. So the same water, looks same water, but some undrinkable, polluted. So then gradually I learned through experts about ecology. Then I developed full conviction. World, this planet is our only home. So we have to take serious concern about protection of our home. Recently, Americans say that spacecraft is reach Mars. I think within next, say, 1 decade or 2 decades, some human being is a wonderful achievement. However, if we try to settle in moon, I think even 1 week, I think very difficult. So all these was the equipment, oxygens, and how can spend, you see. So impossible. So therefore, you see, this blue planet is only our home. If we destroy this home, then where we should go? Or jump into sea, mass suicide. Maybe that is the solution. Otherwise, you see, no hope, no possibility. So we have to take every care, as I mentioned earlier. Then, you see, taking care about ecology, you see, the problem, violence, immediately struck on our mind. But damage, the consequences of ecology sort of damage, not like that, not that kind of because of immediate sort of striking, invisible. Gradually, you feel some tiredness or some difficulties to your eyes, like that, and coughing, like that. So then sometimes maybe too late. Therefore, it is quite sensitive from that respect. So, and then taking care ecology, each individual, you see, should have that kind of sense. The ecology from United Nations, or sometimes even those big nations, you see, their national interest top most important. Ecology is second, isn't it? So therefore, Copenhagen Summit, you see, failed to bring some kind of appropriate guidance. Because of, you see, the concerned nations, they think their national interest is more important than global interest. That's quite sort of narrow-minded, short-sighted. If global level something happens, then each nation you have to suffer, isn't it? Cannot escape like that. So therefore, these things, each individual must start like that. So sometimes you see two big problems. Then think oneself, one individual. Oh, I cannot do much. Impossible. So you get some kind of feeling of helpless. But then think, these sort of thing, we need worldwide movement. Such movement, any movement, start from individual. Clear? After all, society means combination of individual. So initiative must start from individual. Then one individual, 10 individual, 100,000, 10,000, that's the way to carry some effective movement. Clear? Next question.
So my name is Dichen and I'm in grade 7. On the level
First
of
this group.
of a human being, there is the promotion of human values such as compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, contentment, and self-discipline. All human beings are the same. We all want happiness and do not want suffering. Despite the differences, all major world religions have the same potential to create good human beings. It is therefore important for all religious traditions to respect one another and recognize the value of each other's respective traditions. My question is, at Woodstock we come from many different religious traditions. What can different religious groups do to promote religious harmony?
I think generally, I think the last 40, 50 years, I think closer sort of feeling among different religious traditions, I think stronger, getting stronger, more awareness. And also, a lot of organization, a lot of individuals, and including some religious leaders, really making effort. So things are positive direction, like that. Finished now? Finished, thank you. So, now this group, one question from this group. Oh, very good, this young one, no?
Do you have any goal for before you die?
Oh, I think every 7 billion human being, their goal is happy life and meaningful life. So one occasion, you say, or one Life magazine, you see, shows one picture of Queen of England, some big ceremony, and give lecture, reading some statement, but wind blow her sort of clothes like that. Then Prince Philip beside her, but he cannot do that. There's too much sort of formality, too much sort of what's the official sort of formality. They wind quite independence, don't care about formality. So blow Queen's clothes like that. And then another sort of story. One time, I think maybe 15, 20 years ago, in Mexico City, one sort of religious interfaith sort of meeting. There, one Japanese, here any Japanese? Any Japanese? Oh. Okay. Pardon. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay. So, among the sort of participants, one Japanese Buddhist. Usually, you see those Japanese, many people, of course, many religious people, is a quite sort of formality. They love this formality. So they, and in each person, you see some short prayer. And then the Japanese, you see, the monk, I think monk or Japanese sort of the priest, you see, as their usual sort of way, you see rosary, and hold rosary, and some prayer carrying on rosary, you should do like that. So then while he sort of praying, chanting something, and the rosary do like that, the sting of the bead broke, and bead scattered. But that is the person still remain like that. If I am his case, I think stop the chanting, then pick up these, bring. That's more practical, isn't it? Oh. So you see, sometimes we religious people, you see, fond, you see, more dignified. I don't like that. I really don't like that. You see, we are same human being. Yeah. You have sort of different emotions. I also have different emotions. Then only thing is, I use my intelligence. Then some of these emotions are good for my health, or others, some emotions are very bad, very harmful. The understanding of that, then my intelligence, you see, try to minimize these harmful, destructive emotions. That's the way. So, so, and then till my age 24, I was in Lhasa, more sort of the ceremonial way and more formal way. Then I came to India, become refugee. No longer protocol, no longer formality. I become much closer to reality. Too much sort of, because of the formality, is actually barrier between reality and yourself. Like that. So that's one my sort of experience. So sometimes I really feel become refugee is really a very good lesson, very good help for me. So therefore sometimes I sort of telling Tibetan, now more challenge is the Tibetan spirit become stronger. So therefore we must be grateful to the Chinese communists, their sort of atrocity. That bring us more sort of realization of our own sort of spirit, our own sort of inner strength. Clear? Itself negative. I become refugee, stateless, sad. But anyway, that immense help is to become realistic, like that. This is one my experience. Now next question, this side. Oh, many questions there. Then I think at least two questions, one from here. Yes.
Your Holiness, what do you think when you see Lhasa today? How do you feel? And on a completely different note, are you still working out?
Basically, I usually say telling like this, or describe like this, Tibet issue. If you look locally, then hopeless. But if you look Tibet issue more holistic, then very, very hopeful. Mainly because you see, China itself now changing. The Chinese people, quite a big portion of Chinese people, particularly the coastline area, their living standard improve. More wider contact with the outside world. And also this technology, information. Immense help get better knowledge about the outside world, and including Tibet. So therefore, see, I met number of Chinese. Of course, even I think the 80s we try, but before Tiananmen event happened, the many Chinese, they are quite sort of reluctant contact with us. After Tiananmen event, many Chinese, then they come to talk with us. Then particularly after 2008 crisis, a number of Chinese. Now, for example, last over 2 years, about 1,000 articles in Chinese language wrote by Chinese. Many of the writers within China. So all these, about 1,000 articles, all express full support about our middle way of approach, not seeking separation. And all these articles, very critical view about their own government policy regarding Tibet and some other minorities area, like that. So this is quite sort of positive. Next.
Have you made any progress in terms of the refugee status for Tibetans in India?
I think generally the refugee community now over almost 53 years. I think we Tibetan refugee community eventually become one of the most successful refugee community. Many volunteer agencies or workers who involved in 6 days, 7 days about Tibetan refugee community, when we met some of these people, they express, you see, you become one of the most successful, you see, refugee community. Quite good. And successful in the sense, you see, regarding preservation of Tibetan culture, Tibetan Buddhist tradition, and also modern education. I think we really achieve something. So that I feel satisfactory result. And mainly, of course, Government of India, immense help. And then various state government, and of course, wherever Tibetans live, you see the local Indians, generally very, very supportive, like that. Then, 2 questions. Now this, You from Sikkim?
Your Holiness.
You from where?
I'm from Ladakh.
Ladakh?
Lai.
Oh, yes.
There's been talk between the leaders of Iran and Israel. Would you have any advice to give them, especially the political and military leaders of the two countries?
I think that's too complicated. Very difficult to say. Even in this hall, I express some sort of the views. Never reach there. So, useless. Next question.
Hello, how are you?
Kasha.
Two questions. During the speech, you mentioned that you are 77 years old this year, but you're passionate and your energy through your speech made me feel like you are only 27, of course, without looking at your face. And so do you have any secret or any trick to keep yourself so young and so healthy and so happiness and joyful? And another question is actually for my mom. Like a couple weeks ago, I called my mom in Taiwan. I'm originally from Taiwan. I told her that the Holiness Dalai Lama is coming visit to Woodstock School. Then my mom said, oh really? Then try to ask him to give you some blessing. So I wonder whether I have the honor to get some blessing from you.
Firstly, you come from Taiwan. So there are many good friends in Taiwan. So thank you. Your first question. Actually, I think usually I to respond to such a question is, that's my top secret. So I don't like to share these secrets. I mean, seriously. Actually, you see, I think I already mentioned. You see, I never sort of relying using tranquilizer or sleeping pill. Now, each night, 9 hours sound sleep every day. Recently, as I briefly mentioned, recently I was in Ladakh. Yes, here, Ladakh. The Shirjuka, I think Shirjuka, Shirjukul, the height of 4,000 meters. I think double than this one. This is 2,000. So 4,000. Quite high. But sleep, no disturbances. About, I think, 9:30 sorry. Between 8 to 9 hours sleep. No problem. Then also in order to reach that place, the quite high sort of Mount Kasota pass, that 5,000 meters. But no sort of sign of some headaches or these things. So after that, I met some Chinese, my friend, some Chinese I met. So I told them, according to this, my recent sort of trip to Ladakh, you see, my physical seems still fit to go to Tibet, no problem. But if Chinese government allow me, I told them. So I think basically, you see, as I mentioned earlier, you see, I think my mental state quite peaceful, quite peaceful. Of course, a lot of problem, but always look from wider perspective and a fundamental sort of basis. I never feel sort of negative feeling or anger towards some of these Chinese officials, but they themselves, you see, too much sort of fear, too much distrust, lack of self-confidence. So there's sufficient reason to feel pity like that. So you see, never sort of feel some kind of negative feeling. That also immense help to maintain peace of mind. Clear. Then second question, if you have some rosary or scarf, then while I'm coming back, yes, although I have nothing sort of kasota, no power, so-called sort of say blessing. I want to share one story. One time in England, again it's a public talk. Kaza di hold the binkarsa. Royal Albert as a whole, a big one. So I often used to telling at the beginning, among the audience, some may feel, some just come out of curiosity. There's no problem. Some may feel Dalai Lama have some kind of special power, miracle power to bless. That's nonsense. Then some people may have, or say the Dalai Lama have some kind of healing power. Then I told, actually, I do not believe those people who claim they have some healing power. I do not believe. I'm very skeptical. And then I told, if there is real sort of so-called, healing power there, then I would like to see that person who have healing power, because my skin here, some problem. So I would like to see, to show that problem, seeing some healing power. Then, next day, I received some packed ointment for this illness. That's the real blessing. So your mother, actually, I think, think more about, this sort of, the training of mind. That is the real source of blessing. Clear? So that I always mention like that. Otherwise, some people, without sort of training of mind, just seeking some sort of power from outside. That's unrealistic. Clear? And particularly, according to Buddhism, we have no concept of creator. Buddha made very clear ourselves as a creator. So Buddha made it very clear, you are your own master. So therefore, your mother, future entirely depend on mother herself, not on Dalai Lama. Don't blame on me. If something goes wrong. Now, last question from this side.
How did you decide to be peaceful?
Kasa. I think I already mentioned these things. And also, one matter, if in practice or sort of analyze something, then we should be very serious. But otherwise, when deal with people, we should not be too much serious. Just think, another human being. I also have faults. You also have faults. No, do? Faults like that. So then easy. If I sort of consider myself, I'm Dalai Lama, I am something sort of special, and I must be 100% perfect. Nonsense. That kind of attitude, then you get more stress, more anxiety, isn't it? Like that. So, 아주 벽에 안 나는 왜 샤바스다 그소리.
To be easygoing.
왜 샤바스.
To be like free.
That's very important. Then he has to ask, you are sick, isn't it? Some problem. Yes, now your last question now.
Thank you. I was born in a Hindu Brahmin family, and I always, my father is a lay preacher, and people tell me I should do this mantra and I should read these things and that thing. I always find it very confusing. And then I feel if I don't do all these things, maybe a little bit less than all this Brahmin or any other religious people, and I'm not good or something like that. So I don't know what to do about all this. People keep telling me, do this, do that, and you will be all right. You will get better.
You see, for some illness, this is some mantra. In Buddhism, and also you see Hinduism, different Hinduism, also you see there. And I think most of the religious sort of faith, this is some kind of sort of belief, some kind of power, is it to cure some of these problems. But you see, in order to become these things effective, first we need single-pointed mind. That we call shamatha. samadhi, vipassana, samadhi. It's the single point mind. You see, our sort of Kasota completely sort of ignore about sensorial sort of mind, then main mind. Then main mind also not follow past memory and future vision. So this moment, or short moment, just clarity of the mind, concentrate on it. And through that way, remain 1 hour, 2 hours, at least 4 hours. Then you get some experience, the power of sort of single-pointed mind. With that, recite some of these mantras or some prayers, then become more effective. So far I have not that experience. So it's a single-pointed sort of practice, a single-pointed mind. I do practice, but it remains maybe 15 seconds or 30 seconds. So therefore, for the moment, I think not relying on use these sort of mantra, rather meditation and some exercise. That's better. Again, as I mentioned earlier, in spiritual field also, we must be realistic. I want to tease, you both American. Huh? English? Huh? So I want to tease you. In 60, I think in 60s, one American who settled in, I think around Mussoorie, he also, you see, quite sort of the technician way. He made some sort of different things. And meantime, he also, you see, claimed he had the power to know others' mind. He seriously mentioned to me. Then I do not accept that easily. So I see from childhood, we trained to investigation. Because the Buddha said, "Oh, my follower, bhikshus, or scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment." So our mind trained that way. So that American, my friend, of course, good gentleman, but he claimed he knows others' mind. Then I asked him, that moment I set up on my mind certain sort of thought I set up. Then asked him, what thought my mind? He answered something, but totally wrong. So some Tibetan lamas and also Hindu lamas, some you see claim they have certain power. We have to investigate. Don't rely on their word. Clear? Thank you. Dame. So I really enjoy interaction with you, young, old. So I really appreciate. And because directors and sort of also the senior sort of also the professors, you arrange this opportunity. I very much thank you.